Life speaks. It speaks through struggles and success, through music and messages, the preconceived and the unexpected. Whether you are in the depths of the valley or in the midst of your mountaintop experience, everyone needs to be encouraged from time to time. Here we will share stories of strength, testimonies of triumph, verses of victory, observations, and information meant to touch the heart and uplift the soul, to keep you on your path of purpose and navigate this thing called life with power and authority. This is Andrea L. Hines, and I'm your host for When Life Speaks, here on ALH Broadcasting, an affiliate of the Streaming Inspirational Broadcast Network. I am glad you accepted the invitation to join us tonight. There's something in this broadcast just for you, and if it is going to be a blessing to your life, it will be to someone else as well. So share, tag, start a watch party, and invite someone you know to join us. Then turn down the volume of life and get ready to receive, so that when life speaks, you'll speak life. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to When Life Speaks. I am your host, Andrea L. Hines, and you have tuned in to our program. We are on ALH Broadcasting, and that's an affiliate of the Streaming Inspirational Broadcast Network. We have a very, very special show for you tonight, a very unique show tonight, and I'm going to get to it in just a moment. But first, I want to do some catching up, and I want to tell you thank you so much for supporting ALH Broadcasting and for being here with us tonight. Alan will put up any countries that come in. We usually have Jamaica and sometimes Canada and Spain and some other folks around the world. And if they come in, Alan will indeed put them into the comment section so that we can properly acknowledge them. We see Linda Cooks is in the house this evening. We've got our South Carolina connection in the house. That's Miss Angie Oliphant is there. Victoria Henderson is there. Good evening, Victoria. I see Trelyn has joined us tonight, and we'll see who else comes alongside us and participates in this great discussion we've got going. I know sometimes people come in, but they sort of hide in the background and they don't want to make comments, but that's okay. We know you're out there. We appreciate you. There's Steve Sims, Pastor Sims. Good evening to you. And I see Pastor Valerie is on as well. Thank you all so much for joining tonight. And let me bring you up to date. There were some things that had happened in the past with some folks that were guests on our program. One of them was, let me see, she is an elder, yeah, got her name right, Elder Jacobs. And she is with an organization called Sisters Who Care. And they are having a food drive that is going on. It's going to be starting, I think, September 2nd and go through the 15th. She was a wonderful guest. The organization is a good organization, and we try to support those great folks who come across our paths. So along with her, there was Rick and Jane McKinney. Oh my goodness. They were wonderful. They have also written a book called And So We Walked. They walked across America from California to Washington, D.C., and they wrote a book about it. They also have written a children's book to accompany that. And both of these guests, these sets of guests who were on, I mean, their programs really made a great impact on the listeners and on me as well. So when our newsletter comes out, which is always the first Monday of the month, which will be this Monday coming up, there are all the details for these individuals and the work that they are doing. So be sure that you get your newsletter and that you look at their articles and their information so you can keep up with what's going on. And that sound good? I hope so, because that's what we're going to do, right? Yeah, right. Now, tonight, I am doing something that I have never done before. And usually we will have one guest. Sometimes we have two at the most. But tonight we have a group. We have the leadership of the Well Church here in North Carolina, in Burlington, North Carolina. And they are going to help me with a discussion on one of the latest books that I have out, which is called Masters of the Mask. Let me see if I can turn it around a little bit. Masters of the Mask. And I'm not going to tell you how we are going to present this discussion. This is going to be we'll know as we go. I'm really excited that they are going to be with us, and I'm excited about the things that they are going to say. So we're going to just take a little break right here. Good evening, Ida. Glad to have you in the house tonight. We're going to take a little break right here, and when we come back, you're going to meet the leadership of the Well Church right here in Burlington, North Carolina. So hang in there. We're going to take just a breath and a break, as we say, and we'll be right back with you. All right, there we go. Look at the people. Look at the people. So glad to have you. There's Dee Little and Elders Chauncey and Dana Fuller are right there. Christina Butler is on the line, and Pastor Kelvin Little, who's pastor of the Well Church, is here. And I tell you what, I am really, really excited. Look, listeners, you all know me, and sometimes we don't know how things are going to turn out, but they always turn out well. God is always with us, and he knows exactly what he wants to do and how he wants us to share. So I am going to let each of my boxes here. This is so strange to have these many boxes, but I'm going to have each of you just tell a little bit about yourself. And Dee, we'll start with you.
I knew that was coming since my box came first. I'm Dorthel Little. A lot of people call me Dee, but I love my first name, so Dorthel is definitely acceptable. So I am a mother. I work in information technology as a profession. I lead our Connections 360 ministry, which is very dear to my heart because it's important for me when we have visitors that when they come, they feel welcome. And when they leave, they leave feeling the love of God through his people. So I love God. I love God's people. And I'm happy to be on tonight.
Awesome. We're glad to have you. And the Fullers are here with us. And if we can get you to take yourself off of mute, then we'll be able to hear anything that you want to share with us. There you go.
Ladies first.
You always do that.
I'm Dana Fuller. I'm a member of the Well Church with Pastor Kelvin Little. I'm trying to think what else to say. I'm an author of the book Bridging the Gap, Couples Devotion book.
Yes.
I work with children. That's my heart, working with children, just seeing them grow and develop. And Chauncey and I are over the marriage ministry at the Well Church, keeping it together. And we're just happy to be a part of this.
Awesome. Well, we're glad that you are here for sure. And Chauncey, you got some words for us tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I'm Chauncey Fuller. I'm also a member of the Well Church. Excited member of the Well Church. I'm also recently retired 2 years ago from the Postal Service, and currently I'm a realtor for Keller Williams Central in Burlington, servicing the Triad and Triangle area. So if you need in need of a realtor, please give me a call. My number is 813-382-2726. And you can also get me at my website, chaunceyfuller.kw.com. I'll be glad to service you, and we're glad to be here.
Shameless plug, shameless plug. I love it. I love it. Get it in, man of God. That's what you do. And we have Christina Butler. Christina, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Butler. I attend the Well Church as well. I am a mother, a wife, I love the Lord. I'm a registered nurse by profession. I love people, love people. I'm also the praise and worship leader at the Well Church. And I just love just fellowshipping, glorifying God, worshiping God, and just allowing everyone to do the same with me. Glad to
Awesome.
be here.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
And last but not least is Pastor of the Well Church, Pastor Kelvin Little. Talk to us a little bit, sir. Tell us a little bit about you, whatever you want to share.
Good evening. Good evening. I am so excited to be a part of this broadcast on tonight. So, I'm Kelvin, of course. I have the wonderful privilege of pastoring these amazing people along with others at the Well Church. Phenomenal ministry. I'm a husband, father. I'm a friend. You name it. I try my best to be the best pastor, the best husband, the best friend, the best father that I can be. And did I mention I pastor some amazing people? Well,
I
church
heard
is
that.
that deal.
Yeah.
We're excited to be here on tonight. Yeah.
Well, we are glad to have you, needless to say. And I was wondering how we would go about doing this and how we would go about sharing it. And this little book, and I never can get it right. I think that's about the best that I can do. Masters of the Mask is something that I wrote in the spring. It was a while in the making. But as I was telling the group before we came on, and for all other authors out there, and I know we have a few. You write, you put your heart in, you put the work in, you get it published. It is out there, but you never know without what do I want to say? Without people writing reviews, you don't always know how the work is received. And I was really very happy that Pastor Kelvin had decided to use this little book in a very different way. And we're just going to have a back and forth flow tonight. You can even approach this if you want to as part of your Bible study in terms of just, telling the listeners how you felt and what you felt about certain parts. But I want Pastor Kelvin to share what made you decide to use this as part of your Bible study.
First of all, this is an amazing book, very well written, very well needed. Being a pastor, being in church, I grew up in church all of my life. So I've had the privilege and the opportunity to see different various aspects of the church. And, one thing that stood out to me when I opened the book in your introduction, the first question you ask, who are you? I said, wow, this is going to be a tough read right here, because that's the one thing that a lot of us we have a problem with asking ourselves, who am I? Or even when people ask you, who are you? I asked my son that the other day, and I said, hey, if I was to ask you, who are you, Carson, what would you say? He had a hard time trying to come up with an answer of who he was. And so in church in particular, as a pastor, church seemingly is the one place that everybody comes to try to discover who they are. And oftentimes we end up losing the little bit that we do have, and the little bit that we're clear on, we end up losing it as we are becoming acclimated to ministry and serving in ministry. So I thought it was a good read for our leadership team. We took about several weeks in this book, just coming around the table, just dialoguing and hearing different perspectives. And so I just thought it would be a good read for us. We're a new ministry, and I just don't want people to get lost in serving,
Mhm.
because you a good thing can turn into a bad thing if you allow it. And so I didn't want people to lose who they were in Christ, as they're under the guidelines or under the auspices of serving in the church,
Mhm.
having that balance, if you will.
Mhm. I remember hearing a pastor say, "What do you do when what used to bless you, what used to be a blessing, becomes a burden?"
Mm.
And I think so often that happens when we cannot find the balance. And I think a lot of times we don't even realize that we are out of balance. And that was one of the reasons that this book came about, because I was thinking, how many times is we talk about being jack of all trades and master of none, and we talk
Mhm.
about the hats we wear and the roles we play and all of that, but there's something about the mask. When you
Yeah,
think about the mask, that the mask, those hats are easy for you to take on and off. You can kind of slide in and out of different roles that you have to play. But so many times that mask is used to hide behind.
yes.
And I think that's where we get into trouble,
Hmm. and
because we,
and the danger is that although it takes the shape of your face, it still hides who you are.
right.
And so we appear to be, just reflecting on the movie The Mask. It was the form of his face, it was the shape of his face, and it appeared to be him, but the mask still concealed who he really was, and uh, it still hid who he was, as an individual. So it's a tricky thing.
Then, and when you were saying that about the mask, Gene Hoskins, who wrote the narrative on the back of the book, because I wanted his perspective as a psychotherapist. And what he said was, there comes a time where suffocation is inevitable with material cemented over your face.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what happens. We get behind the mask and we don't know how to come out. If there's a problem, if there's trouble, if there's anything that's going wrong, or anything that may cause who we are behind that mask to be revealed, we don't know what to do. We
Absolutely.
just don't know what to do. And there is that not knowing, that not understanding, that reluctance to really face what's going on with you, and who do I tell and who do I talk to, and all those other things that we go through, will keep us sometimes behind the mask,
Absolutely.
behind the mask. And I think that uh, I used to do a workshop called All About the Selfies, about the selfies. And your self image, to me, in my opinion, your self image and your self talk are two powerful things that will lead you into self sabotage. And we always are in a place of self assessment. Sometimes people do it at the first of the year, sometimes they do it at the last of the year. They look back and say, what did I accomplish? What did I do? What was the good thing and what was not so good? And prayerfully, not come into a place of condemnation, but in a place of learning and understanding more about who you are, and understanding you are not what you do.
Sure.
You're not just Pastor Kelvin, the pastor.
Hmm.
You're not, Chauncey, the realtor, or Dana, the author. Uh, Christina, you are not what you do. Dorthel, you're not what you do. There is so much more to you.
Right.
There's a wonderful book out there about purpose. The book of purpose actually is called, and it's called the You Testament.
Hmm.
In that book, it talks about the fact that who you are and your purpose is tied up with what you bring to the room. What are you bringing when people see you? What are you bringing? Uh, for me, they're going to find calm. They're going to find laughter. They're going to find certain things that make you who you are. And it's not related to what you do.
Right.
So when you get behind that mask and you go behind it because you want to hide, you don't want anybody to know all the truth. The truth and nothing but the truth. We don't want to know all the truth, then it can get to be a very dangerous place. It really can. So I want to who's brave enough to go next? Dorothy, you took yourself off
I
me.
did.
That's community talk. So go
I
ahead.
did. I was thinking while you were talking about the characteristics of me that's important for others to see. And positivity is one. Like, I don't want to be around anybody and they look and say, oh, Lord, here comes Dorothea.
Right.
Like, I want people to enjoy being in my presence and being able to take something positive away. And having a mask on years ago I started to see that drift away.
Hmm.
So when I recognized that, it was important for me to recognize, like, you need to just be who you are and not worry about the rest, because I know I'm not for everybody, but there are people that see hope and see positivity in me. So that's the comment I wanted to make.
I think that's an important statement too, that more people are adopting, and that is, I'm not for everybody.
Hmm.
My programs are not for everybody.
Right.
But if he designed me, if I believe that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, if I believe that he designed me for a specific purpose,
Hmm.
if I believe that nobody can do what I do the way that I do it, and that's for you, Christina, nobody can do whatever it is that God's assigned you to do. Nobody can do it like you can do it.
Right. Right.
And we sometimes get caught in that comparison trap because we're working so hard to be like.
Mm-hmm.
When you are the pattern, you are the original design, you are the way that you are for something specific that he wants you to do. So when you are able to grasp that and grab hold to that, then you're less likely to get behind that mask. You can put those baseball caps on and off. It's pretty easy to get those off, but you don't want to get yourself to a place where the mask becomes a place that you hide because of any number of reasons. Any number of reasons.
You talked about it in the book about deal breakers and not
Yep.
your non-negotiables.
Right.
You have to be comfortable in knowing, hey, this is who I am. I'm not going to tolerate certain things. I'm not going to put up with certain things. This is it. Who you see is who you get. And so you have to have those, like Dee said. That's the first time I called you Dee, right?
Don't do it anymore.
Like Dorothea said, like her positivity, that's her thing, and we can't afford to let anybody take those non-negotiables away from us, our identity.
And I think with the non-negotiables, I think they are something that we need to be clear on and clear about early on.
Sure.
Early on, particularly when it comes to relationships.
Mhm.
Because I believe that if you don't know what your deal breakers are going in, it's real easy to gloss over them once you're in. You know, you get into the syndrome of, girl, it ain't that bad.
Yeah.
We can fix that. We can do that a different way, you know.
That was a question, Elder Hines. What if you're already deep into the relationship, even married, and somebody comes across your deal breaker?
Okay, hold that right there, because Angie has a question here, and she says, "Do you think that married couples could be hiding behind a mask within their marriage as we bridge the gap?"
Yep.
What do you think? What do you think about that? What do you think about that question? Do you think that married couples could be hiding behind a mask within their marriage? I know what I think the answer is for me, but
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. And
Absolutely.
and then what do you do? Because that's Pastor Kelvin's question. Then what do you do?
Oh, you're asking us or Pastor Calvin?
No, he brought the question to the table.
Oh,
Bridging the gap.
oh, I think I I think we forget that we're layered up and we didn't become that way overnight. So peeling off those layers, it takes time. And I think just being extending grace to your partner to assist each other with peeling off those layers. Chauncey and I both had layers when we came into the relationship, and it was just really extending grace to each other. Even though some areas he may be a little further than me, but he extended grace and vice versa. But we forget that we didn't become that way overnight. Our world is shaped by from our father's house. We bring so much into our relationship from our father's house. And I don't think we really realize that. But there were so many things that I brought into our home from my father's house and vice versa. But we had to create what is the father saying for our house.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I
So
think along with that too, when you were talking about extending grace to your partner, I think a lot of times we forget to extend grace to ourselves. I don't think we always give ourselves, just as individuals, the grace that we could, or the permission that we should, to be who we are, because a lot of times we are trying so hard to be what we think other people want us to be, that we don't extend grace to ourselves when we, and that's why that issue of self-talk and self-image, I think, is so important to keep us out of that place of self-sabotage.
Absolutely.
You know, I always say that the most important conversation I will ever have is the one I have with myself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can tell me I'm beautiful all day long, but if I look at the mirror and don't see it, it's like it's not there. It's like it's not there. So, Christina, what do you think?
That was actually one of my favorite chapters. I'm looking at it right now. Maybe I do, maybe I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I like almost underlined that whole chapter because I was like, oh, that is so good. That is so good because my husband, he's at work right now, so he's not here to give his side. But on my side, I felt like, I did have the non-negotiables, but then I think I did kind of like tweak them a little bit. So I'm like how you said earlier, Elder Hines, like, oh, it's okay. It's just a little something. That won't turn into anything. It's just a little something. But then now it's like, okay, you're doing it again. So it kind of gets on your nerves. But as Elder Fuller has said, Elder Dana Fuller has said, we have the layers, and we're now like, I'm a transparent person, so we're now talking about tearing the layer, pulling the layers off of us. We know we both have layers. We know we both need work, and we know we're going to work at it together. So I think the communication between us, allowing us to know, hey, I'm here at this place right now. I've been pretty much portraying this person, and now I'm being vocal enough to let you know that this is me. This is who I am. Are you willing to accept it? Are you willing to work with me to peel these layers off? I'm willing to do the same with you. And that's our communication right now. And that's where we're actually working through that right now, just to be transparent. And it's working for us. We're knowing that we can't wear a mask. We have to be, open, honest with each other, because if we continue to wear a mask, it's going to stick on us and stay on us, and then we won't know how to remove it if we're going to, just keep doing the same thing over and over. So I think we're doing that now. We're working on it, and it gets better. Over time, it will get better. We do see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I just think that this chapter brought out a lot of in us. It let us see ourselves naked, just let us see ourselves before ourselves, and it brought a lot of light to what we were going through at the present time. I mean, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it's also, when we're talking about deal breakers and things like that, my daughter and all the folks who are a lot younger than I am always laugh at me, because I tell them, there's a 90-day rule. 90-day. It's a 90-day rule. And I tell them all the time, you can only hide for 90 days. Somewhere, whatever you're covering up, whatever you're trying not to have somebody see, whatever it is that you want to hide, or you're not quite sure you want to be that transparent, and you're trying to answer questions the way you think they want you to answer them.
Right.
You're trying to maneuver and move through in a way that will be what they want. Okay. But within 90 days, something's going to slip.
I'm a witness.
You can only hold out for 90 days. So it's better for you to just be who you are, let it out, and because then people can understand those layers early on.
Mm-hmm.
Early on. And that's not just in the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It is when you are on the job. It is when you're in those social settings. It is wherever you are, because a lot of us, and you hear the term all the time, are people pleasers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do anything to upset you. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to do anything like that. I'm gonna go along to get along. I know that I was like that a lot in my marriage. Yes, I was married. A lot of people may not even realize that, but I was, for a very short period of time. I didn't have the book. I should have had the book. I didn't know about bridging the gap. No, we weren't. This was not working. But it doesn't matter which of those areas you're in, or which of those sectors you're in. That possibility is always there. And I wanted to see what Pastor Sim said. It's easier to be what people think you are than to become what God purposed us to be. It's easier to be what people think you are than to become what God purposed us to be. Anybody got a comment on that?
That's a mouthful, and it's so true. I used to catch myself when, having conversations, and I've caught myself responding or giving responses that I knew would satisfy the person, but it really wasn't me. And at the end of the day, you're going to be whoever they think you are, whether you show it or not, because their preconceived notion of who you are, it just is what it is. But you have to be comfortable in just really being who you are and saying what's on your mind to a certain extent, but being free to express your thoughts, to express your emotions, express your feelings. And if you don't agree with it, agree to disagree.
And when you don't do that, somewhere down the line, you start feeling trapped.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You will start feeling trapped because you know that you're not being yourself, your true self. You know that you're not really acting and reacting and responding the way that it's true for you in your best layers. As we talk about when we talk about layers. And sooner or later, it's going to be something that, as Jean said here, you're going to feel like that mask is cemented
Yeah.
on your face, and there's just nothing you can do. And so, you rather you tend to run rather than bridge.
Mm.
You don't run to get across the bridge. You run to get away from it
Mhm.
because you really just don't know what to do. And she has something here. She says, "What about the children? Can parents play? Ooh, can parents place masks on their children, not allowing them to be who they are?" Wow, South Carolina, come on now. What about the children? Can parents place masks on their children, not allowing them to be who they are? What do you think? Who
Mm.
wants to go?
I can give you a little something. Now, I'm not sure if I'm answering the question, but I do remember like growing up, and this is just my situation. My first passion is acting. I love acting.
Okay.
But no one would know that because it was to me, it was ripped away at a young age. So I would always tell my mom, well, everybody in my family knows I'm Showtime, that's me. But I said, Mom, I want to be an actress when I grow up. I want to be an actress. I want to be an actress. I want to go to school to be an actress. I would always get an answer that's pretty much like, no, you can't be an actor. No, you can't be an actress. That's not the way to go. So the final answer that my mom gave me was, they don't make any money. You should be an actor. Do something else with your life. And that shut me all the way down. So she wanted me to be something that I did not want to be. I am a nurse now, but I love nurse. I love people. But she made me feel like I could not progress. So it was something that was placed on me that I felt that I could not move. I could not be who I wanted to be. So I had to go an alternative route. And I still like acting, but now it's suppressed to the point where it's like, if it happens, it happens. Oh well, I'm doing what I'm doing now. So I do think they can put a mask on you, or I'm not a mask, but restraints. So I would say,
Mhm.
in my situation, it was restraints, and I felt like I couldn't go past a certain mark. I can act in a play at school, I can act in a play at church, but as far as me going out and making a career out of it, that was not what was happening. So, I think I answered the question, but that was just my story, my perspective on it.
Mine is similar, and it's interesting because my parents were pushing me. I
Mhm.
sang my first solo at 3. I was in plays. I mean, they were always encouraging me to do that, but not for a living. Not for a living. You want to live, you're going to be a secretary, you're going to be a teacher, or you're going to be a nurse. Christina, I tell you, I couldn't even be a good candy striper.
Well,
I,
that's
I,
me. I
I,
think.
I love people. I really love people. But no, I was not good. And I remember going in that hospital one day thinking, these people are really sick. What am I doing here? I cannot help these people. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. But my parents, and I'm much older than most of you, so they didn't have a any sense of this is something that you could do for your life.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that for your life. So yes, it does put restraints on you, and in some way, it is a mask for you because you end up being something and trying to do something that's really not your passion to do.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
But parents, to talk to Angie's point, when we see what we see in our children, and you, Pastor Calvin and Johnson, you all can tell me if you agree. If I see that my child tends to be musical,
Mm-hmm.
okay, that's where I'm gonna push him.
Mm-hmm.
But he also may be a good mathematician.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He may prefer numbers.
Yeah.
He may want to be an accountant. And we're pushing them to do what we think.
Mm-hmm.
That's your mom, um, Christina. We're pushing them to what we think would be the best thing for them. And we talk about it all the time in terms of when we get to heaven, God is going to ask you about your assignment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
He's not going to ask you about that other thing
Right.
somebody said that you should do or that you'd be good at or that you spent time on. He's interested in the thing that he designed you for,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that he put you in the earth to do. So we have to go back somewhere in this journey. We have to go back to the creator, to the one who formed us, to the one who made us, and find out, am I on the right path?
Sure.
Am I doing what it is you want me to do? Do I have my life in balance?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, whether it is, I had friends who I tell you, you would think that they were going to school because anything their children were in, they were there. They were always involved, always part of the. I went to more football games for little people I don't even know because mama wanted to go. I said, "Yeah, girl, I'm with you." And I'm thinking, why am I sitting out here in the cold? But that's what we did.
Sure.
That's what we did. That's the way that we did it. Victoria says, as a parent, I have to support their gifts.
Mhm.
And I think it's different in supporting their gifts and forcing their gifts.
That's good.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're forcing and we don't even realize. We don't even realize. And throughout this, as I'm listening to you all, listening to the comments you are making, one thing that is so important is non-judgmental, transparent communication
Mm-hmm.
in all of these scenarios.
All of them.
All of the scenarios, the mask, the hat, the role you play, whatever you find yourself in, because without that, you lack honesty.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have honesty, it's going to affect the integrity that you have.
Sure.
And if you don't have that integrity, you are not going to be the you that God designed you to be.
Right.
Something's always going to be missing.
Yep.
Yeah. Everybody needs a safe place.
A safe place.
Everybody needs a safe place.
Mhm.
If we can learn, if I can trust you with my faith, my faith, it's easy for me to give you my hand because I'll follow you, I'll trust you, I'll lead you. People will follow people that they're able to let down their guards, to let take the makeup off, take the mask off, and show you who they really are. Just like Moses, when he went to the mountain and saw the glory of God, it was easy for Moses to follow God after God revealed his glory, after
Right.
he revealed his face.
Mhm.
When you can trust people with your face, it's easy to take their hands. So I think that's where we're failing as a community at large. That safe place where people can be who they are. I was having a conversation just earlier today. I said everybody gets to have a day. Everybody should be able to have a day. Everybody should be able to have a time where they're just not feeling it. But we have to have grace in those moments, as we talked about earlier. We have to have grace for those moments and have a safe place for people, like you said, Elder Hines, non-judgmental,
Mhm.
but safe for them to know that I can release and still be okay. Yeah.
Mhm. Now I tell you something. Trelyn makes a comment. She says, "Can I trust you with my face?" That's poetry. Now, anybody who knows Trelyn knows that she is great
Yeah.
in terms of spoken word. So, Trelyn, the charge is out there to you. Can I trust you with my face? I'm waiting for it. I'll be looking for it, and
Me
so will
too.
the rest of the listeners here. So, when you get that piece done, we're ready. We are ready. I wanted to. We are running out of time, believe it or not. But I wanted to ask you, each of you, this in closing. First of all, if there's any comment that you want to make regarding this issue of being a master of the mass, please do so. But I would like also for you to comment on what you think creates that safe space. That safe space. We all need it. We know that we need it. And I know that all of us have made some mistakes in trying to provide it. But as we are closing out tonight, just tell me what you would like the listeners to be mindful of, if I can put it that way, whether it's just the balance, whether it is, the transparency or whatever, and what do we need to create that safe space to be a master of the mask, and so that the mask is not a master of us.
I'll start. I think one thing that we can do is to just take that risk of being vulnerable, not with others, but with yourself. Just that vulnerability of just kind of like doing a self-assessment of yourself to see where your flaws are and where they could possibly be. So just take a self-assessment of your vulnerability and take the risk of actually doing that assessment.
I like that. It's good. Risk of being vulnerable. What about you, Dorothea? What are you thinking?
I would I would say trust yourself.
Mhm.
Don't don't lose yourself at the risk of trying to save others, trying to save feelings, trying to trust yourself and take care of self first. Like you're important too. And I think about the safe space, it's always love.
Good, good, good. Very good. Very good. Elders, Chauncey and Dana, what are you thinking?
I would say to create a safe space, and you're saying safe space for someone else. Oh no, oh, we thought we were on mute, but
No.
create a safe space for others. That's what you're saying.
Hmm.
Okay, so in creating a safe space for others, I think you have to talk to them with love. You have to be able to have them to trust you, to be able to have a space and not to be judgmental. They have to know that you're not going to judge them. Some people may use humor. That's a way to draw people in because everybody can relate to humor.
Hmm.
And that'll what you can draw people by humor, and then that's one way to draw them, but also let them know that they can trust you. I mean, they can trust you and that you love them and you're not going to judge. And most importantly, consider yourselves.
Mm. Okay.
Consider yourselves, because we a lot of times we have people who want to judge everybody else, and they're the main ones that need to be judged, if you will. But if you consider yourselves, how I would want somebody to be, how I would want somebody to respond, then you'll be more apt to not judge.
Mhm. Amen. That's great.
Yeah.
Dan, did you have anything?
I would just, for me, that safe place is someone that listens, not to respond to what I'm saying, but just listen to hear what I'm saying. And that just makes me that's a safe place for me, especially with us. I say when Chauncey just listens to my heart, you say I'm talking to you as my best friend. So he's just listening, not judging me on what I'm feeling, but just listening. I think for both of us, that creates a safe place for us. And Elder Hines, I'm telling you, this book is
Amazing.
just amazing.
Amazing.
And Saturday when we were doing the test, I have to say this, and I was looking at the title as you were talking, Masters of the Mask, and what I heard was Master of the Master,
Master.
Masters of the Master, and us becoming masters of the Master of what He calls for us to do, being our authentic self. And it's so good, but so many times Chauncey and I we asked each other this question: Have we worn masks? We just sat down after we had that test. Have I ever wore a mask with you? Or do I wear a mask? And he said, no, you don't wear a mask. And but this is so relevant especially for the body of Christ, because there are so many. He wants us to be who He's created us to be,
Right.
but it's so easy to conceal versus reveal if there's flaws, if I'm jealous, if I envy, if I have strife in me, I can never heal from that until it's revealed.
Yeah.
And so when I tell you this book I have read it several times. I'm going to read it again because it's so relevant. Like I say, especially for the body of Christ, because so many, I'm not judging, but I know so many today that are still wearing masks. They just love who He created you to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dorothea said, this is who I am, like it or not. This is who God has created me to be. And just be the authentic person that God created you to be. And Elder Hines, thank you so much for this book.
Thank you.
I can't wait for
thank
volume 2.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
You
I put
need it.
it out there, so I gotta accept that charge too, I guess. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And Pastor Kelvin, do you have something in closing for us?
Amazing. Just to piggyback on Elder Dana, amazing book. And I'm committing to have this as a part of our onboarding process for new members.
Oh, wonderful.
Because again, coming into an organization, not just for church, because again, if people are not healthy at home, if they're not healthy in the workplace, then they're not going to be healthy in the church. We talked last night about this balance. It is not adding to one and taking away from the other. But balance is, if you're going hard at church, go hard at home.
Yes.
Go hard in the marketplace. Go hard wherever you are, so that the scales can equally balance out. You close the book with, you can only own the power of the mass by removing it. Everybody should know the only way that you get power over this mass is that you have to have the ability to remove it. And again, I echo what everybody has said. Love, a place of transparency. Elder Fuller, consider yourself. That's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. Judging is not an issue until you can't take the judgment back. Because Jesus says, hey, whatever measure you throw out there, it's going to come back to you. So judge not, lest you be judged. So that should be the guiding force. When I sit down with people, I'm always trying to put myself in their position. I'm always trying to feel what they feel, so that we can. Some people can't pull the mask off by themselves. They need somebody to help. So we want to be people that's willing and available, agents of God, to sit down with people and say, hey, let me help you pull this off. I see you. I see you, and I know that's not you. So let me help you pull that off. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. thank you all so much. I appreciate you taking the risk and doing this tonight. It has been really good for me as the author, but I think it's been good for all of those who had the opportunity to hear what your take on the book was and what you were able to gain from it. So I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying thank you for having us.
Oh, absolutely. You'll be back. Don't act like this is not going to happen again. I don't know what we'll be talking about, but you'll be back. I pray. But I do thank you all for being gracious enough to be here tonight. I know we ran a little over our time, but that's okay. I think sometimes you got to have the flexibility to do that. Angela said, will there be another group session? We'll see, Angie. We will see. We will see. But again, like I said, I thank you all so much for being with me and for what you have shared about Masters of the Mask. And for those of you who are on tonight, share this broadcast and let somebody know there will be a replay on Saturday at noon. Saturday at noon is when I replay all of the When Life Speaks programs. So be sure to let somebody know about it, and because they may gain something from it as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate each one of you, and yeah, I would like to have you all back. I don't know what we'll do, how we'll talk about it, but somehow I think Miss Angie might have an idea out there. Since she posed questions, so we'll see what she has to say. Oh, Trelyn said this is a series. Oh my goodness!
Oh Lord!
You never know. You never know. But for right now, this is the end of the program.
We love you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Love
And
you.
that is it for tonight. Be sure that you come back next week. We are here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. for When Life Speaks. And just come back. Be ready to receive. Turn down the volume of life a little bit so that when life speaks, you'll speak life. Good night, everybody. Thank you again. God bless.